And we're back. Hopefully this is the last video. It's just on my camera. We know what it is. Again, thank you for watching if you've watched up until this point. So getting back to Keyshawn, she discovers that while she was away on tour and notices that her eldest is having some kind of issues just socially interacting with her, she takes him to the pediatrician and realizes that the child's elbow had been dislocated and that there was some odd bruising that then the doctors were able to determine that he had been hit and violently. And when she confronts Derek of what had happened, he really physically went in on her as he normally does, but got to the point where he was ironing a shirt, and what set him off was because up until this point, again, Derek hasn't been working, so it's a sensitive issue with him in terms of providing for the home. And you know, she's like, why are you even bothering? You're not gonna get it. That set him off. He dragged her, and then the iron he was using to iron his shirt, he was gonna put it up against her face. And she realizes, like he realizes, like the coward lowlife he is, that he knows. She even yells it, like, don't do it in my face. Anywhere else in the body, but don't do it in my face. That's the moneymaker. So he then quickly realizes, even though he really wants to torture her by steaming this hot iron to the point of probably even a third-degree horrible disfiguring scar on her face, he realizes quick that she is the reason why he eats. So he doesn't do it. And it's a really horrible, traumatizing scene to sit through, but this is what she's enduring. And I think past that point, you are to assume that she's hit her breaking point, because now fast forward to this episode, there's an instance where, and I think I want to say too, people have also made notice that he went from a very squeaky clean looking kind of guy, Derek, maybe also during the pandemic, he isn't necessarily reporting himself anywhere, but he's starting to look disheveled, bearded and long-haired, and almost looking like, you know, these crazies that we've seen in the news, that, you know, he seemed like such a sweet, quiet guy, and they've committed horrible, heinous crimes. So again, God forbid, I'm not 100% sure what's happening with the characters, but she is trying to look for her exit. And we also see, so yeah, he's acting like nothing's happened, like any average abuser, and he's about to go help, I don't know if it's a family member or something like that, with installing some kind of furnace, or I don't know what it is, some fireplace. And he's like, you want to come with? Like, again, like, everything's so honky-dory. What is with these people? So, you know, they do these horrible things and then act like the next day like nothing's happened. Let's just pretend. She's like, well, you know, like, look at me, I'm not going anywhere. So he's like, okay. And then she finds the courage to pack up her things, grab her two boys, and the infamous gun that we saw in the first season that used to belong to Haley, that she had to use towards her own abuser from her past, she kept it like really well hidden in a furnace. She takes it as protection, and just as about she was going to take her cell, just tells you that this man literally monitors her like a prisoner, that she's savvy enough to leave the cell phone as she dashes into her car, and it's like, I have to drive somewhere, maybe to a shelter or whatever. She turns the ignition on, packed the kids and everything, turns on the ignition. He yanked some cords or something like that. The I don't know if it was the battery or the engine, the thing will not take off. So he knew what he was doing. Like, if you're not coming with me, you're not leaving me either. And she's like, oh my God. So she has to sit back, go right back with the kids, and wait till he comes home. When he comes home, he's all like, "What'd you do all day? You know, the phone said that you didn't leave." Like, I mean, I'm surprised he doesn't monitor her when she goes to the bathroom how many times she takes a poop. I mean, this is ridiculous of how possessive this man is. She's like, "No, we just, stayed home watching TV, watching Peppa Pole or something, Peppa Pit, or some kind of cartoon or some whatnot." And she was ready. She had the gun under her pillow, but she just doesn't have the courage to do anything, or maybe she's outweighing her outcomes too. Think about it. She's a black woman dating a white man. Who are they gonna really side with? In this Bible Belt, Mississippi Delta, who are they really gonna side with? So she's still stuck there like a prisoner. Now, also, there's an instance here also, so we can see that our Andrew Watkins is still very much aspiring for that mayor position, and he's campaigning in something that looks very old school, antique. I don't know what is happening here. This is very old money, bunch of old white folks there bidding and donating for the cause that his friend has campaigned and rallied together to see if he could get him the funds so that he can actually campaign up against his own brother, who he hates because he's always shunned him as like the outsider. He is, he was the servant's child. And yeah, again, to win leverage over, the people who want to gentrify the area. I believe they call them Homeland in this series, and those folks, those heavy hitters that run with it. Haley's there because she's interested in getting more than what she has, been offered. They said they'd only give her $1 million. She wants 10. So she's there to stir the pot. And so, so Andrew gets upset, like, why is she here? And then also Corbin, Kyle, also is like, what are you standing to be here? And they kind of rush her out, whatever the case may be. She's in this beautiful bejeweled red dress, and it's a masquerade party. She was like, it's a black tie event. You think I was gonna know? Gossip travels. So, but she's there with a purpose to I don't know, it's like almost like she wants in on something, and definitely old world money. And what seems like she's ushered out so that Andrew can finish his speech and speak to the heavy hitters. She's reintroduced again because I believe this woman was this southern woman, this new character that we're introduced to, which, side note, a lot of people were commenting online that she's reminded people of like Blanche from the Golden Girls. FYI, here's a really, really cute, interesting tidbit. She was on the Golden Girls. This lady, who's I think in her 60s now, was I think maybe in her 20s or 30s when she was on the Golden Girls. She was only in one episode. It was the 1992. It was an episode in 1992 where she played Rose's daughter, Betty White's daughter. And I believe they got a number. They always shifted the daughters. Nobody really stayed true to those characters except for the four ladies that we love and are beloved. But she played the daughter. And so it's great to see her. I said she looks so familiar, and I Wikipedia her name, and lo and behold, there's all her, background, her resume, and she was on the Golden Girls. So I said, anybody who made reference to her sounding like Blanche Devereaux, who knows? I mean, she did work with Blanche, so. But I do recommend you doing the same. Like, I remember the episode too. It's when I think Rose has a heart attack, and the ladies are not allowed in because they're not family, and she's family, but she wasn't really too keen on her mother living with these three other women, which she eventually realizes that there was a bond amongst them. But again, that's another show. But do Google it. And she looks good for her age, not for nothing. So, but she's a heavy hitter here that Haley wants to befriend, so it works in her benefit. And we'll see what future episodes bestow for these two, because also she realized who she was in quick, like, oh, you're my new best friend, you're the property owner of the P Valley. So we'll see how this pans out, and how it works in Haley's favor. So and not for nothing, towards the end of the episode you can see that she's still very much involved in Andrew's whereabouts. She finds, obviously, the home where he's staying, which was known. It was the mayor's past home. Of course, also, Andrew's going through his own issues, which will be soon divorce, because he found his wife when he was thinking about campaigning. He went back home to tell his wife, and his wife essentially told him the same thing that Keyshawn told Derek. You're not going to win. What are you doing? Why don't you just take the job that my father has been offering you, whatever the case may be, again, to like knock him down a peg. So he's like, well, and not to mention that she was having an affair in their marital bed. So that marriage is a wrap. And it also leaves him free to pick up where he left off with Haley in the strip club. Because remember, when Haley was still stripping, they had a very intense champagne room scene that was very lustful, and it had an incredible soundtrack. Again, please watch season 1 because it's so pivotal to understand season 2. And also kind of disappoints a little bit, because this was the anticipated sex scene that everybody who's been following these two characters was like, yeah, they're gonna tear each other apart. And it was kind of a little lackluster. I mean, he was livid with her, with everything that she's pulled. And she's not to be trusted, as you can see. Uncle Clifford made that abundantly clear with his millions of rules. But, yeah, he makes her crawl, and they have some, intense scenes. But it's not like it didn't live up to that incredibly lustful scene that they had in the champagne room in season 1. So I don't know what happened. I don't know exactly where these two characters are gonna go. I think it would be darling, honestly, though they did hook up, or they ended up together and and really taking over this part of town. But we'll see with the upcoming episodes. And Mercedes too. She fell back into the traps of entertaining this throuple situation that she's in with Coach and his wife. They're pretending, the wife and Mercedes are pretending like as if they haven't really already gone there, but they have. And they're trying to pull a fast one on the Coach, because remember, he's the one that's paying. He's the, Daddy Warbucks here paying for his fantasy. So he kind of lets it be known that, my wife's been, thinking about you, and she's actually turned on by the whole situation. So again, he's only thinking about his pleasure out of this circumstance. I get to sleep with 2 women, hot women, on top of all that, my wife and my mistress and whatever. And so they schedule a whole rendezvous thing going on, and so they start the whole Mercedes experience, and they're in the middle of having sex, and he's enjoying himself. He's all up in Miss Mercedes. But then he realizes that she's not really getting there, and the wife is quick to, do her thing, and is able to get her off. And he starts realizing, like, these two look a little too, like that, really too passionate. And now the fantasy, it's taken him out of the fantasy. And he's not liking it. In fact, he feels betrayed. This was all his idea. He approached Mercedes at the strip club. He was of the idea that he wanted her to have this extramarital affair, and that she'd be okay with it, and that he was even willing to pay for the experience. And here he is getting livid and mad, like, and then gets mad at even his wife. He's like, what are you doing? Now all of a sudden you're what, a lesbian? And you're more interested in this than me? And whatever. Oh my God, he did a whole 180 on the whole experience. And it just tells you, again, these are other taboo subjects that rarely ever see the light of day. Male chauvinists a way of thinking. And then she confesses to him, like, why is it always about you? You don't know anything about me. You've criticized, he did. He criticized, he berated her photography at the beginning of the season. And he doesn't even know much about his wife, than the fact that I think the woman could have been bisexual this entire time. You're like, but you never discussed anything with me. I enjoy women, more so than even you. So he's like almost like in disbelief that he can't believe that his wife is this, and then he breaks the deal with Mercedes, doesn't pay her, and she defends because she was defending his wife. He takes back the whole deal and doesn't pay her, and it's like she's wasted her time, and it's like and she's like, don't do that, you agreed to pay her. And he was like, you've both broken my heart. What a male chauvinist, narcissist, BS, typical man. But again, I don't want to generalize. I'm just summing up what I saw in this episode. But again, subject matter that needs to be in the forefront, and I'm with it. Now, I've been skirting around this because this is the toughest of this episode. We're back to our coupling with Little Murder and T, and T drives up to this house, sketchy looking house, after they've had a great conversation. They've been talking about the past, they've been talking about their time together, reminiscing, singing rap songs to each other. And again, the way that it's shot, it looks like the moon is cascading over them. They look beautiful. Both of them are shot incredible. Kudos to the cinematography and director for this episode. So you see Little Murder was talking to somebody, talking to Woody, and Woody was like, I handle things. And just as he was about to maybe give him more details, his battery dies. He's looking in the glove compartment and finds a firearm, which belongs to T. And he realized that he had gone into this house, sketchy house, that looked like he was just in there to pick up weed, but he was kind of curious because it's like, I have weed at home, so why are you doing this? And he went in without a firearm that he could have easily been, and put in harm's way. He goes into the house and he realizes that this serves as like some form of crack den, and the unfortunate part is that there's some children in there as well. And he's led off to a bedroom in the back, and he opens the door and sees a child bleeding from the head down to his neck, no shirt, and you can see that he's little and scared. And then you realize that that's the demon that's been pursuing him since maybe his whole entire life, but more so since he left prison. These are the hauntings that have been in his head since he left, and that's why we understand now why he is so hypersensitive with everything and the way he reacts. It's because of that trauma he's been dragging, and he's confronted with his former self. So when he has this private moment with Little Murder, he confesses that basically the whole entire day he's been trying to get him away from him because he wanted to basically off himself. And I don't want to use the word because it's too traumatizing. But he wanted to off and put himself out of his own misery and not do it in front of Little Murder. But Little Murder realizes that he's like, no, I'm not leaving you. I don't care what you say. There's so much to live for. Look what's happening to me. All the successes that you can join me, and future children. He builds this whole dream in front of him, and he's just like, I'm tapping out. I know you're gonna be okay. You're not so damaged like I am. And we see the camera is outside of the car, and we see that flash and that sound, and we know what's happened. And then we see Little Murder's kind of swivel out of the car, and he's drenched in blood, but you can see what happened, or you can understand what's happened. And it's the worst. It's just the worst of the worst, because although he was there for him even in his final moments, it's such a horrible, traumatizing thing to witness, and knowing that he really couldn't be there for him. That he tried to be that safe space for him, but it still wasn't enough. And a lot of people, I myself watching it, felt conveyed by emotion, because you can't believe what you're watching, that people could be in that much pain. And of course, there is advisories at the beginning of the episode, and it also is explained, that there are prevention programs and whatnot towards the end. But it's a really hard episode to stomach. But reality, brutal honesty. Also, Mercedes is also confronted with, unfortunately, her child is pregnant, because Shell hasn't been watching her, so she's going to go through a lot next episode. Little Murder finds his way back to Uncle Clifford's home, and we don't 100% know if now his grandmother could have COVID, because the poor lady has been coughing, and yes, it could have been one of the dancers, Toy, who was sneezing up a storm, was the one that had it, and probably gave it to a number of other people, especially the elderly. You don't want to have the elderly around amongst young people. But Little Murder doesn't know where else to go, and he goes to his safe haven, which is Uncle Clifford. And this is a touching moment where you can see these two finally come together, unfortunately, with that horrible, traumatic experience. And that's where we end. That's where we culminate this episode until next Sunday. So, what an amazing last 4 episodes, and these last 2 in particular, they need to really consider the show for an Emmy. They really do. Bravo to Tori Hall and her brave team of showrunners and writers and producers who are behind this show. This is so well scripted. Please check this out. This show is on Stars, and I highly, highly recommend it. It is excellence in storytelling, in representation, in taboo subjects, queer stories, women's stories. You need to really watch it. It's such a full, well-rounded story. And it's on Stars now. I hope you guys have enjoyed my review. If you like what you see, give us a like, give us a share, leave us a comment down below. If you are a fan of the show, what have you liked so far? I honestly have been impressed with this season, and season 1 was stellar, but season 2 is on a whole new level. So let us know if you like my channel also, and you like my reviews. Hit the subscription button and the notification button so you can be alerted of my next haul, my next review, or my next DIY. So until next time, y'all, hold on a sec. Let's play this out, y'all.